All right, so I want to talk a little bit about energy transmutation to start talking about it. I literally had this visualization of having so many videos talking about this, but we'll start somewhere. So what I've been personally experiencing and learning and putting my energy towards is learning how to take on energy from more and more sources and use it or transmute it into something else inside of myself. Now, not something other than energy. What I mean is like a different kind of energy. You know what I mean? So what I've been noticing is that literally everything is energy. And what that means is that everything passes in and through everything else without bias. And what I mean is that if the mind can release bias towards feelings, thoughts, emotions, reactions, and different things like that, then the energy that's experienced is automatically interpreted and transmuted into whatever frequency the person is sitting in the moment. So what happens is if you're able to focus yourself into at the least the heart chakra, which would be just a sensation of happiness or goodness in yourself, or like love really for reality itself. If you can transition yourself into that space in the moment of receiving energy from something or somewhere or someone or any of that kind of stuff, then you can actually start to basically change the nature of what you're experiencing through your own experience. And what I mean by this is that when you experience the energy, your perspective changes the way that you interpret the energy that you experience, right? So it's like if you're really upset or any of that kind of stuff, and then you experience an energy that's being projected at you maybe from somebody else who's also upset, then what will happen is that you will experience that energy, and that energy will be experienced to you by upsetness, or like it will amplify or intensify whatever feeling that you were experiencing before. So, but if that exact same energy projected from the exact same person was experienced from somebody who was happy, or in general joy, in love, in contentment, in security, any of these things, then that energy would be reassociated as maybe a feeling of like a slight agitation for like a half a second, or like a feeling of like a little bit of a discomfort in the body or something like that, but it would not be interpreted the same way. You see what I'm saying? So that energy wouldn't have that mind attachment, that mind complex attachment. And what I mean by that is that kind of like that association that the mind puts to the energy. So the basics of an energy transmutation is to recognize that everything is some form of energy, and those forms of energy are always changing and moving, and they're always transmuting into something else. So what you can do is you can start to take on energy from more and more things when you learn more and more directions of ways to focus your attention onto a feeling of goodness in yourself. So the more that you can have a focused attention, the stronger this effect will be in itself. Basically, what you want to do is you can start in the physical world and start trying to focus on a single thing for an extended period of time, or you can try to sing and focus on that, or you can try to dance and focus on that, or you can try to jump up and down in circles and focus on that, or do jumping jacks or something. It doesn't matter what you do. The point, focus on a candle. Like you can look at a wall. It doesn't matter. You can look at a tree, go into the woods and just like stare off into the distance. The point is to learn how to keep redirecting the mind back to a single focused thing. Meaning you sit there, and even though you have these thoughts coming through that are telling you this and telling you that and telling you to go do this and telling you to go do that, what you do is you constantly just keep refocusing the attention onto the thing that you're trying to focus onto. So for me, what I suggest is to take the attention away from the external world so much and focus more on the internal world. So what that means is to focus on the feeling of joy, or the feeling of happiness, or the feeling of satisfaction, or the feeling of okayness, or security, or the feeling of stimulation in some sort of way. But do like focus yourself onto a feeling in yourself and try to perpetuate or move that feeling as close to you as possible. And what that means is to you can even do the activity of faking it until you make it if you want to, if that makes any kind of difference to you. But what you do is you literally start to move yourself closer and closer and closer to embodying this energy that you want to embody. And the way that you do that is by taking your attention away from things that are causing you suffering or pain or turmoil in any kind of way. You see what I'm saying? It's like, and the way that you do that is by reinterpreting the energy that you're experiencing from those thoughts and feelings. So you realize that that turmoil or suffering is not something that you're subject to. It's something that is being presented to you by your own self in order to show you some sort of thing inside of your own self that needs to be let go of or transmuted in some sort of way. So this could be a thought form that is representing itself in a specific way, and that all that needs to be done is to just adjust the way that thought form is being experienced. So like what I mean is, like, when you have this thought form presenting itself over and over again, maybe one of the times you allow that energy to present itself, and instead of clinging on to trying to change it or make it different than what it is, you literally just accept the energy as it is and allow it to change into something else. But as soon as you start trying to say that this energy is this because of this feeling, then it becomes that. You see what I'm saying? So you have to back away from your interpretation of the energy in order to be able to transmute the energy into something else. What happens is that it's not you really that has to do much of anything. That energy kind of automatically does what it needs to do when the resistance is let go of, because the energy, it naturally wants to rise. It wants to rise up in you. So it's like, when you allow that to happen through not clinging on to specific ways of thinking or thoughts or different kinds of directions of thinking or different kinds of particular kind of like perpetuations of different thoughts and things, when you start seeing that that actual act of thinking those things is what's causing the suffering, and then you start redirecting your attention to something that brings you joy or happiness or contentment in yourself, and you start getting better and better and better at immediately taking away your attention from the thing that is not making you feel good and redirecting it to something that makes you feel good, then what'll happen is that when the energy of somebody else not feeling good hits you, then instead of you clinging on to it immediately because you're so used to clinging on to it in your own mind, you are like water and flow. You either flow around that thing, or you take in that energy, and then through your interpretation of that energy, the nature of it changes into a loving energy or a happy energy or any of that kind of stuff. And then through that, you radiate that energy outward by being whatever emotional state that it is that you are being in that moment. And so the whole practice of this is to recognize that the interpretation of energy in your mind is what causes the connotations that are put onto it, and the connotations that are put onto it are what causes the suffering in your mind and in your body. And so what you want to do is let go of the interpretations of energies that you're experiencing and allow them to shift and change into different energies. And then instead of clinging on to one specific way of being because of a story that you perpetuate in your mind, allow yourself to be in a different state or in a different way, not only just because it feels better to be like that, but because, like, literally, like, as soon as you start to suffer, that should be enough to let go of that thing. Meaning, like, nobody wants to suffer, so why perpetuate something that is causing suffering? Like, logically, you could see that. But in the moment, like, the mind really wants to cling on to it because it thinks it's so real. But, like, the reality is that nothing is really real when it comes down to that. Like, it's that thought is just as real as my projection of a pink elephant or whatever. And, like, the only reason I'm saying that is because, like, it's just there's a really the only reality is the feeling of love or the feeling of connection or the feeling of okayness or goodness in the self, you know. And what that is literally just the letting go of all concepts that you have and the acceptance of energies from whatever perspective it's being given to you from. And from that acceptance, joy arises, or love arises. It could be anything that arises, honestly. Like, those are just ones that arise a lot for me. Maybe a feeling of contentment for you, because you don't save or move your energies in the same way that I do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to access the highest energies as I possibly can. A lot of people who are constantly releasing their energies in different ways, instead of, like, I'm not saying that they can't experience the same thing, or like they can't experience the balance of it, but it's just going to be a different kind of balance, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not going to be such a high kind of vibrational energy. It'll be more of a like a contentment, or just like a wow, like I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders kind of an energy. You know what I mean? For me, it's constantly like, wow, let's go, we got more energy. You're like, whoa, and I'm just like taking it on from more and more places, and like interpreting it, and then it's just like and then just like holding that energy for as long as I possibly can. But that is not everybody's cup of tea. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to be resonant with that kind of a thing, because like I'm just a really intense person. You know, I take things to the extreme sometimes. Like I mean, not totally to the, I mean, yeah, pretty much, I guess. Like you know, I basically, I've done a lot, I guess, you know. So, but I've also had a lot of fruits from that too. So, you know, yeah, you get what you put into it, I guess. But now what I want to do is just take those fruits and give them to as many people, because I have so many to give now that I can't eat them all. There's no way that I could eat all of these. So it's like I have to give them out to other people. Otherwise I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. And it's just that metaphor. What that means is just like I have an excess well of happiness, love, joy, and togetherness and connection with the cosmos and with myself. Like, and I just want to give that outward to as much as I possibly can, because it feels amazing, you know. So I just want to share that energy as much as I can. And I feel like literally just speaking on the camera, it doesn't matter what I'm saying, but just the energy of the experience of the person is enough to kind of send the message that needs to be sent, you know. All right, so that was part one of the energy transmutation, and I hope you guys learned something, or gals. You know, I say you guys all the time, but that's not meant to be a it's meant to be a neutral thing. I say that with everybody. So, but everybody, you know, have a good day, and I hope you learned something, and I love you all, and thank you so much for watching. And yeah.